Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome you once again to the airwaves of Salam Media. It's Wednesday night. It is in conversation with myself, Inayet Wadee, right here on Salam Media, and wherever you are, whatever platform you're joining us this evening, we welcome you to the show and great to have you with us. Now, there are two issues that we will be focusing on, and shortly we'll be joined by Dr. Fozia Alvi. She is a physician in Canada, a humanitarian, and also the founder of Humanity Auxilium. Dr. Fozia has recently returned from Gaza, and if one just has to follow her posts, her tweets as well, there's just so much that Dr. Fozia can share with regard to the war in Gaza and the genocide that is unfolding. And in one of her tweets, Dr. Fozia speaks about the war in Gaza, which has already surpassed the Bosnian genocide and now ranks as one of the most destructive conflicts in modern history. This is how this catastrophe has actually unfolded, and the situation on the ground clearly is dire at this point in time. To the extent that we know with the humanitarian disaster, it's about hunger. We are about a few weeks away from the month of Ramadan. And as many of us prepare for this month of Ramadan, I shudder to actually think what the people of Gaza and the people of Palestine are going to go through, because clearly this is a case of forced starvation, as Dr. Fozia put it, and it is a dark stain in our shared humanity. So without much ado, we're going to go across to be joined by none other than Dr. Fozia Alvi. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome.
Walaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Can you hear me well?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear. Now, sometimes Dr. Fozia, and for someone like yourself as well, as humanitarians, as Salam Media, and Alhamdulillah, we have this opportunity as humanitarian journalism, and this is Gaza has been non-stop in our broadcast since the 7th of October, Alhamdulillah, covering various aspects by various angles. And each day is becoming worse. And sometimes, we cannot be blind to the fact we are human beings, we are emotional beings. And just watching what is unfolding clearly, mixed emotions, anger, sadness, all of it. And I suppose, for someone like yourself as well, there's a lot that's going through your mind right now.
Of course. First of all, I want to say thank you for inviting me here and to talk about you. I have lots of respect for the beautiful country and for the beautiful nation that you have, for standing up for Palestine. So it's absolutely an honor to speak to you. Yes, it's been quite hard on our mind, on our heart. That's why the reason I went to Gaza, because since the war started October 9th, it was, it was too much. I had a constant this heaviness and sadness in my heart that I said that, I have to do something. And Alhamdulillah, Allah has given me the opportunity to travel to Gaza with the WHO people. We just came back a couple of days ago. And after coming back, I was reflecting and I was processing it, what we have seen on the ground. And, it's the worst humanitarian catastrophe that we are seeing in the modern history.
Well, certainly. And I suppose, there's just so much going through your mind right now in terms of what you've witnessed in the time that you had spent into Gaza and trying to unpack what you have witnessed. But more importantly, you are here today to share with us, with our listeners, with our viewers, your actual experiences. And I've seen your tweets, I've seen some of your posts as well, where you make a lot of mention. And clearly, this is now getting to a situation where it's very, very dire from what you've described.
100%. So when we were in Gaza, we were mostly stayed in Rafah area. There was literally like bombs dropping all around our hospital. We could feel the building shake from the explosions that surrounded the hospital. and the healthcare can only be described as horrific. Um, as I said, that what's happening to Gaza is a war crime. There's zero doubt that from anyone who has gone personally and saw it with their own eyes that it's a war crime, it's a genocide, and we have seen in the last 5 months that how strongly all the human rights organization, for example, Amnesty International, MSF, Doctors Without Borders, Human Rights Watch, all of them, the doctors, healthcare workers, they are talking, they're screaming, that stop it. These are wars, these are crimes against humanity, and we have seen the images, and I have seen personally with my own eyes that how IDF is indiscriminately bombing the hell out of those people who were already living very impoverished lives before this conflict due to the siege for the last 15 years. When I was there on the ground, we worked in different medical clinics as well as in the hospital. So there's a new medical terminology that out of Gaza from this war is called WCNSF, Wounded Child No Surviving Family. So this terminology describes too many children in Gaza right now. I saw like 28-day-old babies coming out with injuries from the bomb blast and with their families either dead or they were dying. And, they are children. Half of these injured people, they are children. And the children are dealing with the most critical injuries imaginable and in the non-existent healthcare system. And that's on the top of the forced starvation due to the Israeli blockade. So it was horrifying for me to witness that, to see it with my own eyes as a woman, as a mother, as a doctor, and as a human being.
Well, certainly, Dr. Fozia, and I think you've made mention of that in one of your posts where you speak about these small children with catastrophic injuries. You speak about amputations. You speak about crushed limbs, ruptured eyes, severe burns. Now, to put a child through all of that, and I'm sure while you were there, there's just so much that you experienced, and you could perhaps just take us through what are some of the conditions like? What is it like when these children are actually brought in, or when you witness, when you listen to these bombs all around you? And literally, I think you made mention in one of your posts as well that, everything is just shaking around you. Just how scary a situation is it? And I suppose for you as an adult, but for these little children as well.
100%. So we have seen, those patients, those children's pregnant women who were evacuated when the Shifa hospital in northern Gaza was bombed. So we had seen some patients so we had a clinic in one of the schools where thousands of refugees were taking refuge, mostly from northern Gaza. And there was like one small classroom, like 50 people were living. And everybody was sick, everybody was hungry, everybody was not malnourished. We have seen patients with the hardware, with their arms and the limbs. They're still stuck in there. They had the surgery in Shifa hospital, and they were admitted there. Those were the patients. And I have no idea, I can't wrap my head around it, how they arrived in Rafah now, because there was no transportation, those poor people. And we have seen lots of them. They had the hardware external fixators stick into their bones, and we have seen the pus coming out from those bones, and there was no antibiotics available. And I'm a family doctor. As a family doctor, I did not know that, when we need to take those hardware out. So when we went to the European hospital next day, I spoke to my surgeon colleagues. I said that, look, there are so many people that they do not have any access to this hospital. And on the top, hospitals, the couple of hospitals who are left, who are like, somewhat survived from this bombing until now, they do not have any capacity. So I said that what to do with those patients. So he said that, Fozia, if you have any pliers, just to take those hardware out. And I felt so bad that, those people have survived the bombing. They are sitting here with these infections, and they are going to die from the infections due to the that infection will spread to their bloodstream. We saw small babies dying with pneumonia. There was no antibiotics available. We saw almost in that small clinic 60 to 80 children with hepatitis A because there's no clean water available. There's no toilets for those thousands of people. So there's like one toilet for 200 to 400 people. There's long lineups, or often, the rights erupted because there's and lots of people have diarrhea due to gastrointestinal infections due to the lack of clean water. There was no diapers available, for example, due to the blockade. I have seen mother coming in with their children. Literally, they were using plastic bags as a diaper. There's no water. There's no electricity. So it's just like the worst catastrophe I have seen. And I just want to say that the people who survived from this bombing and this sniper shot wounds, they are too traumatized now to function as a normal human being. Especially, I'm talking about children. The other day, MSF doctors, they were saying that they're hearing testimonies from injured children as young as 5 who have lost their families, saying that they don't want to live anymore. And this is not a normal human response, and this is not a normal human war. And it still, boils my blood that how IDF, kept on bombarded the Shifa hospital in northern Gaza. It was the largest tertiary hospital in the whole Gaza Strip. And they went around trying to fake evidence for their assault on Shifa hospital, claiming that there was Hamas Pentagon underneath it. And then they just moved on. When they could not find it, then they just moved on destroying other hospitals when that lie was proved false. And I have seen, and I was seeing the news, that I was reading the reports of children in Gaza with the sniper wounds to their heads and vital areas. And when I was here before my trip, it was just insane enough to believe it. But then I actually saw with my own eyes kids had brain damage and due to direct gunshot wounds, and it was leaving them paraplegic, and they were literally living like vegetables on the hospital beds. So it's just it's just like horrifying.
I can imagine, Dr. Fozia. In fact, and when you speak about the Shifa Hospital, we recall we had Dr. Mats Gilbert, the Norwegian doctor, out here in South Africa on a week-long tour. And it was around that same time when the Shifa Hospital was being bombed as well. And he spoke so much about the medical personnel. He spoke about the dedication. He spoke a lot about the commitment of the Palestinian medical personnel. And perhaps, if you could just share with us, because I know it's no easy task, because you're dealing not with isolated cases, you're dealing with sheer volume, patient after patient after patient coming in. There are no beds. We know that. We've seen from the visuals, people on the floors. You mentioned, pulling out shrapnel and all sorts of things with a set of pliers, and all of that under the most adverse conditions. And, what is it like? What is it like for a medical practitioner or a medical professional to actually work under all these conditions?
I call the healthcare workers in Gaza like my heroes, because almost every nurse, every doctor, the X-ray technician that we met, everyone has lost their houses. Everyone has lost somebody in their family, so some children, some of their mothers, parents, their spouses, but they are working like day and night in those hospitals. And if they are too tired, they are falling over due to the fatigue, they were just going, even either in the hospital hall corridors where they have the small tents or on the streets. So I have seen doctors, the head of Ministry of Health of Gaza, living in the tents in the streets. So there are tents everywhere. When we were in the European General Hospital, it was like it it was made by European Union, was very beautiful hospital. And then there was like rows of tents all over in the hallways. The hallway where the OR people were taking the stretchers, and the nurse was telling me that, we have a hard time to move the stretchers between these rows, and they are like displaced people. There was like literally, our children, our sisters, they are having the bed sheets, hanging down from the roof just to give them a little bit of privacy. In the parking lots of the hospital, there were people living, and it's. I've seen lots and lots of children with severe burn wounds, gunshot wounds, brain damage. And some of them, as I said earlier, they were just orphans and they were just brought in alone. And if they survived, can you imagine the amount of trauma they have to deal with all of their life? So the war in Ukraine has killed around 500 children in 2 years. The war in Gaza has killed over 10,000 in less than 5 months. So every Western nation lined up to condemn Putin when he was killing white children. But when brown children in Gaza are being slaughtered, they cut off funding to the UN agencies. And those UN agencies, for example, UNRWA, it was providing basic necessities of life to them. And to touch base on UNRWA, it's an absolute crime that even in Canada, our Trudeau government, they have cut off the funding to organization based on unsubstantiated claim from the Netanyahu government, and a government that we know that has been known to lie over and over. And so Trudeau later, admitted, he said that, he has not seen the evidence of Hamas infiltrating the UNRWA, but yet he refused to resume the funding. So we know that the war in Gaza has surpassed the Bosnian genocide. And as I tweeted also, you were mentioning that tweet, that is one of the most destructive conflicts in our modern history. But because, it's been done by an ally of the Western nation, all the talks of human rights and international law, it has gone just out of the window. So hypocrisy is heartbreaking that we are witnessing at this day and age.
Yes, and also of late, we've learned about obviously food shortage. We've learned about mass starvation, and you've made that comment as well, where you speak about you can't forget how the world is starving the children of Gaza, where you're saying that you see everybody that is hungry, and how can one actually justify forced starvation?
There are thousands of trucks I have seen with my own eyes just on the Egyptian side in the Rafah crossing, and just like a half kilometer on the other side, in the Palestinian side, Gaza side, there are thousands and thousands of children are starving. And we have seen the people, small children, dying with hunger in the last 2-3 days while we were traveling, that the children started to die. And if we do not open the humanitarian corridor and let those trucks filled with food, they are standing there for weeks and weeks. I have sent personally, my organization has sent food trucks, and for one food truck, it took 25 days to enter Gaza. And then yesterday, I was just hearing the news that how some Zionists, they were looting those food trucks, they were coming into the Rafah crossing. It's just insane. While small children are dying, their babies are dying because there is no milk available. Everybody is malnourished over there. I have seen, it's called rickets. It's a severe vitamin D deficiency. And I have seen small children with bone deformities due to the severe vitamin D deficiency. And those children, they need food. And I truly believe that I have just borne witness to one of the greatest crimes of modern history. And I believe from the bottom of my heart that Netanyahu governments and the Western elected leaders who have enabled this genocide should absolutely be dragged to The Hague to face the same justice that the world has given it to Ratko Mladic and Hermann Goring, for the Bosnian genocide. And our international institutions and international norms mean absolutely nothing if we can just sit here and pretend that, we won't be sanctioning Iran or China for committing the same crime that Israeli government is committing. And the fact that the taxpayer dollars are going to enable it in US and Canada is just like a harsh reality.
Well, it certainly is a harsh reality. And while the world is still making submissions, or they've just completed submissions at the International Court of Justice, talking about all these atrocities, and while the ICJ still debates whether this is a genocide or not, or whether it's a case of genocide or not, I mean, what else can one actually call it where you've seen now, you've been there firsthand, you've witnessed, you've seen everything that one needed to actually see? And yet we have a world that is still debating what is happening.
It's absolutely heartbreaking to see that we are seeing the live images of genocide just out of our phone screens in this modern times, and how silent we are. I saw a tweet yesterday by a famous journalist that Biden was just eating the ice cream, and then he was talking to someone that hopefully, the ceasefire will happen next week. It was just surreal, honestly speaking. It's just like slap on the face of humanity, that to say like that. And how we can tell how Biden can tell his grandchildren, how Trudeau can tell his children, that the children of Gaza were dying on the other side of the border while we had thousands of loaded trucks with food standing there. How we can justify?
Well, clearly, definitely. In fact, one can never ever justify. But again, Dr. Fozia, it takes people like yourselves, and I suppose that there are many other medical professionals like yourself that want to go into Gaza, that want to make a difference, that want to attend to these children and to all those who are injured. And I think this is the reason why, this organization that has been founded, and you speak about the official opening of this first medical point at Al Zawayda. And perhaps, you could just share some of that with us in terms of the thinking behind it. And again, these are efforts, these are initiatives that we all, at the end of the day, we need to get involved in, we need to undertake, and we need to make absolutely sure that we do our bit.
I would love to have. So, what we have done, our organization, Humanity Auxilium, I started this after witnessing the crimes against humanity with the Rohingya genocide in Bangladesh a few years ago, and in Myanmar. So our organization has started a medical clinic. It's an ambulatory clinic. First, when we decided that we have to do something, besides thinking about building a field hospital, we are in the process of building a field hospital after the ceasefire. But I said that we can't wait. We have to do something because these people are literally dying due to the lack of antibiotics. So where we will build, because the IDF, they are squeezing those people to the south, and now south is going to bombard it. Where we will build, where these people will escape. But I said that halas, let's do it, let's build it. So we have built our first clinic in the middle area, and we were planning to build other 4 or 5 other clinics, including in the northern areas also, because northern areas have literally very, very bad situation going on, because there's no aid going there, there's no hospital left, no clinic left, everybody is flattened. But there are quite a few people still living in northern Gaza because they don't want to leave their land. They don't want to leave the ruins of their houses. They say that it's our land. So we have to help those people. So we are going to, in the next few weeks, we are going to start building those clinics in that area. And I will encourage the healthcare professionals who want to join us, sign the form on our website, humanityaauxilium.com, and we will try to get as many as doctors we can every 2 weeks. Especially initially, we needed lots of surgeons. We still need them, but we needed lots of family doctors, infectious disease, because infections are on the rise, psychiatrists also, and we want everybody. And we'll try to get those people in so that we can help our exhausted colleagues, healthcare colleagues in Gaza. And then after the ceasefire, I truly hope that it happens soon. Just breaks my heart when I think about it. Then we will build a field hospital also there.
Well, we've got the Islamic Medical Association here in South Africa as well, and I'm sure we can share a lot. We can actually share this interview with them as well, and to obviously inspire and encourage as many people to get involved as well, both in terms of providing their services and also from a funding perspective, inshallah. So we definitely will look at that, but also at the same time, Dr. Fozia, we've seen, in fact, at some point in time at Salam Media, we were in touch with people out in Gaza. And once the communications were taken out, we just lost all contact. Where on a regular basis, we were talking, Allah alone knows whether they're still alive. We've heard about one or two people that were killed, correspondents that we had basically engaged with over a period of time at Salam Media. And sadly, it's got to the stage. But again, when we talk about the Palestinian people, these are special people. And
I
I'm
was gonna,
sure, I'm
yes,
sure you've witnessed how special these people are.
I wanted to touch base actually on that because I thought that I'm going to Gaza to help Palestinians, but actually Palestinians have helped me. They have increased my iman. I have learned from them how to do the tawakkul, how to do the yaqeen on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Those people are very special people. I have smelled the misk, the fragrance that comes from the martyrs on the streets of Gaza. I have seen the noor coming out from the people, from every one of us, and I have seen their love of Palestinian for their prophet. And my 20-year-old son, he went with me, and I could not go to the mosque because there's not a lot of masajid left. But he went to one mosque across our hospital, and he was saying that, Mom, there was a in the mosque when the imam and the people were praying, hard by raising their hands. They were saying that how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, please let our prophet know that about our condition. And he said that there was something in the air, and I felt that sakina in the air. I have worked in the refugee camps, I have worked in the earthquake areas, natural disaster, flooding, but the sakina I felt there, it's hard to describe. Palestinians, no doubt, they are very, very special people, and I truly believe it's due to their iman, due to their tawakkul on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I have seen small children, and they're very strong, also very brave, and they know that they have internalized this fact that all this test, is the bombing of their houses, killing of their children, is all a test from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and they are ready to face it. But again, they're human beings, and if I have seen like people, they have cut their limbs and they are cut their legs, but they're ready to do it. They are saying hasbunallah wa ni'mal wakil, alhamdulillah. But it's hard for them to see their small children dying with hunger every single day. So it's a psychological war that Israeli government is playing with them, and it breaks any human being when we saw our child dying with hunger right in front of our eyes. So please stand up for Palestine. It's very, very important for us.
Well, it certainly is, Dr. Fozia. And you mentioned your son, your 20-year-old son. What were some of his thoughts? Because I'm sure he's had now time to sit back to reflect what he personally has seen at the young age of 20.
So I did not want to take him because I told him that, it's life and death. If there's one person is going to die in our house, so let it be me. But he learned Arabic here from his Syrian friends. So he went there as a logistic person, as a Arabic translator. And we were thinking that he will be very upset because 20-year-old is so much to handle. But he told me the same experience. He said that, Mom, there was some strength when I was in Gaza, and I did not feel any weak or mental breakdown. But after coming back, now I'm processing it, and he wants to go back. He said that I will go back in a heartbeat, and same as me, because I feel that Palestinians, those Palestinian people, they have the right on us. They have the right on us, and on our time, on our skills, on our money, whatever we can do, they have the right on us. This right has been given by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to them.
Exactly.
So we are not doing ihsan on them.
Exactly, and it's all about Masjid al-Aqsa as well, because we can recall when this started on October the 7th, it was about the Al-Aqsa flood, and it's all about Masjid al-Aqsa, and this is the point that I've made over and over again as well, that these are special people. Allah has chosen them to look after Masjid al-Aqsa on behalf of an ummah, and this is what they're actually doing. But also at the same time, I'm looking at a picture that you posted, Dr. Fozia, was a young boy, and you speak about the beauty of life, even though they're surrounded by death and destruction.
They're the most beautiful people. I have learned humanity from them. They're the most kind. They're the most passionate people. They did not have anything to eat, and they were offering them what they had, like a small um, lentil soup, bowl of lentil soup, rice when it was available. And I felt like first day when they offered us, we started crying. We said that, we came from a very rich country, and we are, you guys are starving, so do not. And we had a hard time, but they said that, it's our tradition that, we want to make sure we take care of our guests. So it's amazing, subhanallah. I have learned the adb, I have learned the etiquettes from those people, that in the midst of all of that, the worst humanitarian catastrophe, they are still kind to us. They are still smile, although their heart is feeling the pain. And some, like I was working with the wound care nurse Asma, and our brother family was killed. They were under the rubble for 6 days, and she was helping us actually in the hospital. Can you imagine? But I see that in our eyes, the sadness, the sadness that was just like, it's hard to describe.
Yes, and also I think I've seen a number of posts coming through as well. When you mentioned there are thousands of trucks just on the other side of the border, and they can't get in. And again, when one looks at what is surrounding them, you've got rich countries, you've got the Arab countries, you've got all of them. And we know even when the month of Ramadan is coming, people tend to overindulge, and particularly in those Arab countries as well. And I shudder to think again, the month of Ramadan is coming up. What sort of Ramadan the people in Gaza and Palestine are going to experience?
That's what most of their worries are about Ramadan, because those people are, really, really good practicing Muslim. That's why our Prophet loved them, and he prayed for them. They were very worried, so they were saying to me that, if you can please, when you go out, spread our message that, we should have a ceasefire now because Ramadan is coming. So it's just like, it was breaking my heart. um, so when they were complaining to me about Arab leaders and Muslim countries, they said that nobody's helping us. So I told them, I said that, look, we have come, but I told most of them, whatever they were, when they were complaining, that there are millions of people around the world, not necessarily Muslims, also non-Muslims also. They are standing with you. They are protesting. They are waking up in the middle of night. When they are eating, they think about you. So then those people, Palestinians, women, doctors, they were raising their hand. They started praying for me. So I feel that I take those dua. Those are very special. There is even like one woman dua is like worth the whole world to me, and I will take those as medals.
Dr. Fozia, I'm sure your experience, and even though it was a short experience in Gaza, there's just so much you can speak about. There is so much that you can actually write about. And I'm sure, through engagements like the one you're having with me here on Salam Media and other media engagements. And the key issue here is to tell that story. And through media, whether it's social media, whether it's any other form of media. But it's important to continue telling the story, to continue reminding the world about this genocide, which you said obviously it has surpassed any other genocide, and anywhere else where you've been involved in your humanitarian efforts.
100%. So I would encourage everybody and anybody that staying silent is not an option for us now. Even we know that how Facebook and Twitter and Instagram they work, but if we loaded them with the post about Palestine, then the algorithm, it disturbs their algorithm also. So whatever you can do, share the post, write it down about them, reach out to your government representatives where you are, and talk about it, that this needs to stop now and Palestine should be free now.
Well, Dr. Fozia, I've seen one of the tweets. I think it was Zarar Kuro. I'm hoping I pronounced that surname correctly, but saying that I will count it amongst the great honors of my life to have had the honor to talk to Dr. Fozia Alvi, a privilege. And obviously, you've just returned from Gaza. And I think we share exactly the same sentiments here at Salam Media.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yes. Is there anything else you wish to add, Dr. Fozia, and appeal, perhaps? Some just in before we terminate the interview. Actually, anything that you wish to add.
I will just encourage, as I said, that please reach out to your government representatives where you are, for the immediate ceasefire, because those children's they are not gonna wait for long, and there are hundreds of thousands of small children, and they are cold now, they are hungry, they are thirsty.
We understand, Dr. Fozia. In fact, it's hard, as I mentioned, it's very, very hard not to be emotional. And understandably, because, I mean, you are humanitarian, and at the end of the day, we all have hearts as well. And again, it hurts, being a Muslim as well. It hurts because the hadith is clear of our Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. The Muslim Ummah is like a body. When a part of the body is in pain, the rest is in discomfort. And this is exactly, I think, all of us how we're feeling. But we will continue, inshallah. We will continue regardless. We will do whatever we can. We will continue making dua at the very least, but also any support that is required, we will continue, inshallah. And we make dua that, Allah make it easy, inshallah. And Allah reward you. Allah accept your efforts. We know it hasn't been easy, but Allah reward you for your efforts as well, inshallah. And I must say, clearly, you've been an inspiration with us here on Salam Media. And this is an interview that is going to go down memory lane with me as well, because, from the heart of Gaza, in the height of this genocide that is taking place, you've come on and you've shared what you have with us. So Jazakallah for that.
Thank you for having me.
Inshallah. And all the best to you, Dr. Fozia. Inshallah, we'll stay in touch. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
Dr. Fozia Alvi was us this evening, and clearly very, very emotional. It is heartbreaking. It is definitely heartbreaking when one sees, and Dr. Fozia has been there now firsthand to experience what she has. She's seen the children, she's seen the death, the destruction, the devastation, the desperation on the part of people, but also on the other side, their level of iman, their tawakkul, their trust that they have placed in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and they know it is coming from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And it's a massive, massive lesson for us here as well. And again, the appeal that has been made in any way, in whatever form, one can actually assist the people of Gaza. And again, people like Dr. Fozia, a doctor, and I'm sure that there are many, many other medical professionals who would actually like to go into Gaza right now. And maybe get in touch with Dr. Fozia. The information is on her website as well, inshallah. And inshallah, do whatever we can to help the cause of the people of Palestine. And with that, we're going to go for a break. And when we come back, we've still got a lot more to talk about. We've got another panel discussion that is coming up shortly. And this is with regard to the U.S. Airman Aaron Bushnell and his death. And the question we're saying is, why would anyone kill themselves to stop a genocide? We've got a panel made up of Dr. Abdul Wahid in the UK. We've got Dr. Khureja Suleiman and Maurice Khan out of the United States of America. Stay with us.